Got a Land Rover Freelander, 2004 plate, won't start, cranking over, not firing up. Common problem on this model, it's a diesel model, the low pressure fuel pump situated behind the rear wheel liner. Sticks and then won't start. If you've got a EOBD diagnostic plug code reader, get them off eBay, £10–15, plug it into the socket, you'll get codes like P4368, P4704, which is low pre-feed pressure, and then some maybe 10240, just odd codes that are all related to low fuel pressure. So when this low pressure feed pump stops working, it can't pump fuel pressure up to the high pressure pump, which is at the engine. Pre-2002, low pressure fuel pump was inside the tank, so it was a lot harder to get at. 2004 model onwards, it's behind the rear wheel liner, driver's side. The easy way to diagnose if it's sticking, if you crank it over, you should be able to hear it buzzing behind that rear wheel liner. Because of where it is, you can pull back the wheel liner with your hand, with your left hand, lean with your right hand, crank it over, and you can physically feel it. You'll know if it's going or not. To be sure that's the problem, if you can give it a tap, if you get a bar and put the bar, pull the wheel liner back with your hand, you put the bar in, and the cradle that the pump and the filter housing sits on, a metal cradle, if you give that a bash with a pry bar while you're cranking it over, chances are it will start. It just needs a little knock. They bind, they start to stick. When they're getting old, they wear and they stick. When you turn the car off, they seize up. You try and start it again, and it's just that momentum to get them going again. Once they're spinning, the thing generally will run until you switch it off again. But it's just that initial give it a bash to get you started. So if you fancy having a go at changing this pump yourself, here's my step-by-step guide to doing the job. First of all, order the fuel pump Euro parts, 71 quid. So we're going to make sure the ignition's off, we'll whip the road wheel off and remove the inner wheel liner. The fuel pump, filter and sediment trap are all held in one assembly cradle which can be removed. First, remove the trim clip and thread the ABS cable through the rear cover and remove. Take care not to stress or break the ABS loom cable. Next, undo the two bolts holding the fuel pump filter assembly. They may be corroded, so use some lubricating spray and a decent spanner to get it off. The assembly can then be lowered slightly to rest on the suspension arm as the various fuel feeds and electrical connectors are undone. For complete peace of mind, paint mark each supply before splitting the connectors to avoid incorrect fitting. The fuel and electrical connectors simply clip apart, press down the blue panel and release the connectors. The assembly can now be removed so it can be worked on the bench. The assembly houses the filter at the bottom, the fuel pump above it and the sediment trap behind. We're going to change the filter and the pump. Undo the sediment tap drain and empty any residual fuel. A small amount of water may come out first, showing the trap is doing its job. Undo the fuel pipes on the filter and pump. Again, they just press and clip off with the blue button. Remove the filter. This can be stuck quite firmly, so gentle taps with a wide-ended drift or a leather hammer can help to release it from its mounting. Note the direction of flow arrow on the filter to make sure the new one goes back the same way. Mark the old pump before removing so you know exactly where the new one's got to go. Remove the old pump. This should come out much easier than the filter. Just remember you've got to save the foam seal to reuse on the new pump. Fit the foam seal to the leading edge of the new pump and then ease it into the housing. It goes in with a bit of force. Just make sure both clips are located at the end of the filter and the pump, showing they're both in place correctly. Check the sediment drain is in tight. Refit the fuel lines. They simply clip on with a gentle push. Use pliers with care on the pump hose clips if you don't have the correct tool. Offer the assembly up to the vehicle. Connect the various supply lines and electrical feeds without stressing any of the pipes or cables. Refit the 2 bolts, renew them if they're rusted, holding the assembly to the vehicle. A smear of copper grease on the threads is always a bit of a help. Refit the small plastic guard, carefully thread the ABS cable through the narrow slit in it, and then refit the trim clips and fixings. Refit the wheel arch liner and fixings, and obviously put the wheel back on. Prime the fuel system by leaving the ignition on for 30 seconds. While the system repressurises, it should start normally. So if this has been of help to anybody, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.